What's up, guys? For another video coming your way today. I talk about some of my favorite video games that I played over the years. Games some of the games I put on my list as being my favorites and games that I appreciate and actually enjoy playing. So obviously, I'm a big fan of the Watch Dogs series. I played all three of the Watch Dogs games. If I had to pick go for my favorites, I'd go Watch Dogs would be first, Watch Dogs Legion second, Watch Dogs 2 third. Now, I'm in no way saying that Watch Dogs 2 was a bad game. I mean, gameplay wise, it's pretty good. Graphics wise, it's a very stunning game. I think, the graphics of Watch Dogs 2 are really, really good. I don't know if it came out on the Xbox 360 or the PS3, but I know the graphics of the game on Xbox One and PS4, absolutely stunning. You can't go wrong there. Um, for me, I think the thing that kind of disappoints me a little bit with Watch Dogs 2 is it kind of removed a lot of the things that made Watch Dogs 1 such a great game. And for me, makes Watch Dogs 1 my favourite game of that series. You look at the things that you could hack in Watch Dogs 1, you could hack hack trains, you could hack the traffic lights, it was absolute carnage, then hacking the traffic lights. There was so much you could do in Watch Dogs 1 that you couldn't do in Watch Dogs 2 because they removed those features. One of the things that I liked doing with Watch Dogs 1 was the criminal stuff. Like, obviously, you would get notifications saying that there was criminal activity going on, and you could, it was like a criminal it was like a crime prevention thing. You would get that notification saying that crime was about to be committed, and you could go and stop that crime from being committed. Essentially, it was fun. I mean, obviously that wasn't a thing in Watch Dogs 2. I also like the fact that you could like hack people's bank accounts to get money. There was the rich people's bank accounts that you could hack, and you would always get about $8,000 to $10,000 at the most. In Watch Dogs 2, you could do that, but you didn't really get. I mean, even if you hacked a rich person's bank account, you wouldn't really get that much money. You wouldn't, you certainly didn't get anywhere near as much money as you would have done in Watch Dogs, as you would have done in Watch Dogs 1. If you had to rich person's bank account in Watch Dogs 1, you got way more money than you did in, doing that in Watch Dogs 2. Um, Obviously, I know in Watch Dogs 2, you had kind of like the collectibles, they had like paint jobs for the RC vehicle, like the RC car, you had clothing items you could collect, and you also had like the bags with the money in them. Obviously, you had the small bags, which I think had about $5,000 in them, and then you had the larger bags, which had about $10,000 in them. So, and then they were scattered all over the map, and you could go and find them, and that was a fun thing to do. I don't think there's any money bags I missed out on Watch Dogs 2. I mean, gameplay wise, Watch Dogs 1 was just a fantastic game and a game that I enjoy more. As I said, I'm in no way saying that I don't want people to think that I think Watch Dogs 2 is a bad game. I don't have a negative opinion on Watch Dogs 2 for the most part. I just think it's a shame that they removed a lot of the things that genuinely made Watch Dogs 1 a really good game. I mean, the reason why I put Watch Dogs Legion at number 2 is because I liked the dynamic of that game where obviously you didn't really have a main protagonist. Obviously, you went around the map, recruiting people to join DedSec. It was fun going around. It's fun to kind of go around the map and you recruit anyone. From police officers to hitmen to spies. You recruit all sorts of people in that game, and to me, it makes the game quite fun. In terms of the other reason why I think I love Watch Dogs Legion so much is because obviously it's set in London, which is my home city. The city that I was born and raised in. So it's kind of fun to play a game that's kind of set in my home city and to and I think they really did a good job with the map itself, and I think the map looks really good. I think the one thing that the Watch Dogs 2 games I think do very well with is attention to detail. I think that's one of the best things about the Watch Dogs games is the attention to detail within those games. It's just incredible. Um, I think that I'm not saying that any of the games are bad. I think they're all good, but for me, Watch Dogs One is always going to be my personal favorite of the series, followed then by Watch Dogs Legion, Watch Dogs Two third for me because just because it removed a lot of the things that made Watch Dogs One such a great game. Like it removed a lot of the things that you could actually hack. Um, in Watch Dogs One. So yeah, that's what I would say for the for the Watch Dogs series. In terms of the Mafia series, I would say, and this might be controversial, but I'm gonna say my personal favourite was Mafia 3. Mafia 1 would be second, Mafia 2 third. I mean, for me, I do think Mafia 3 was a really good game. I think it was a great game, in fact. And some people might, and that might be a bit of a controversial opinion, and some people might not agree with that. Some people might think that Mafia 3 was absolutely trash and was one of the worst games ever released. And I don't have a problem with, with people thinking that Mafia 3 was a trash game. I'm not going to dispute that. I'm not going to, you know, attack people for having that opinion because obviously, if you have that opinion that Mafia 3 was a completely crap game, then that's fair enough. I respect that opinion, But my opinion on it is that it was a very good game. I actually, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that. I've enjoyed the missions. I think the missions are very good in that game. I'm not saying that Mafia 2 or Mafia 1 had bad missions, but I think for me, it's hard to really find anything bad with the Mafia games because I don't think there really was anything that was tremendously bad about any of them. I'm still kind of I'm in an island at the moment about whether I'm going to get Mafia the Old Country. Um, I mean, I want to get it because I just want to see what it's like. I want to see how good it actually is. I mean, I'm hoping that that Mafia the Old Country will be a good game. It's funny how I think the main protagonist in that game is played by the same guy that played Lincoln Clay in Mafia 3, so that's quite interesting that he's making a return but playing another character, not actually playing the same character that he played in Mafia 3. He's playing a different character an entirely different character to Lincoln Clay in Mafia the Old Country, so it's kind of interesting to see that. I'm interested to see what the gameplay is going to be like. Obviously, the game's not released until August, so we're still, just over a month away from that coming out. Obviously, obviously not next month, the month after. So still quite a way. It's still quite a way away from, Mafia the Old Country being released at time of recording. It's not due out um, for another several weeks yet. We're still several weeks away from that game from being released, for consoles. And I'm gonna think about doing it. I might wait for it to go on sale. I don't think I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna want to get it at full price. That's the thing with me. I want to try and wait for certain games to go on sale. And I also want to try and wait to see what the reviews are like for that game. If the reviews for Mafia the Old Country are genuinely quite good, quite positive, I will probably get that game. It will probably tempt me into getting that game. But if I read the reviews and the reviews are quite bad and quite negative, I'm probably gonna think, no, I won't chance that game. It doesn't sound all that like it's all that good. I wouldn't want to waste my money on the game that's absolute garbage. So, in terms of the Fallout games, now there's only one Fallout game I've played, and that's Fallout 4. Now, it's funny because when I first played Fallout 4 several years ago, not long after it first came out, I wasn't a big fan of it, and I only really played it a little bit and thought, nah, I'm not going to get into this game, I'm not going to enjoy it. And I never picked it up again. I never had that, I never had that desire to pick up a copy of Fallout 4 and want to play that game. But recently, I kind of wanted to go back and play that game and, give it another chance to see if I would actually like it more this time around, and actually I did. I found that I'm really getting into that game, you know, and I think, I think I was a little bit. I think I was way too critical of Fallout 4 in the past. I don't think Fallout 4 was a bad game, actually. To be fair, is it the best in the Fallout series? I don't know. Again, a little bit hard to really, give a definitive answer to that question because I've not played every game in the Fallout series. Um, if I had played every game in the Fallout series, I would be able to give a more definitive answer on that. But at the moment, as I haven't played all of the other Fallout games, I'm gonna say that Fallout 4 is my favourite, but I'm certainly not gonna say that Fallout 4, is the best in the series. I wouldn't say that until I won't make that I won't make that decision, or I won't have that, I won't make that, that opinion until I played I've had an opportunity to play the other Fallout games and see what they're actually like. So I played some of the Battlefield games. I played. I think the only real, I think again the only real Battlefield game I played is Battlefield Hardline. I do quite like that game. I think I got to the 8th mission in that game, or the 9th mission, and got stuck on that and never get past that mission for some reason. I mean, Battlefield Hardline for me, I enjoyed it. I mean, I don't think it was entirely crap for the most part. Some people might have a negative opinion on it, but I think it was a decent game. And it's a game I do have downloaded on my PS4. I don't have the actual this version of the game, but I did download it from, because I already had it in my library. So I was able to download that to my PS4. I've got quite a few different games that I've downloaded on my PS4 Slim. So, obviously, I alternate between, the PS5 and PS4. Um, so in terms of the another game that I really enjoy playing, Simpsons Hit and Run. Now that game, is a game that I have a lot of fun memories of playing as a kid. Like I used to play that game all the time as a kid. It was one of my favorite games, and it's a game that I do have now on both the Xbox, for both the Xbox and for the PlayStation and for the PS2 as well. I mean, I know that we'll never get a sequel to Simpsons Hit and Run. Like we'll never ever get a Simpsons Hit and Run 2, and that's fine. But I would love to see. I think a lot of people would love to see them do a remastered version of Simpsons Hit and Run. I mean that would be, people would be, really excited by, the prospect of there being a Simpsons Hit and Run remaster. Um, but is that something that we're ever gonna see? I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, I'd love to say it's something. I'm not gonna say it's something we'll never see because I don't think it is something that we're never gonna see. I think we'll see it at some point. And I think, maybe, I don't know. It's hard to say. But yeah, I love the missions in that game. I'm on to level 2 right now on both the Xbox version and the PlayStation 2 version as well. So, obviously I'll get to level 3 now with Lisa Simpson. I'm on the Bart Simpson level. I've done the first level with Homer, and I'm now on the second level with Bart, and then I've got to get onto the third level with Simpson, with Homer, with Lisa, and all the others. So yeah, but I've still got quite a ways to go before I complete that game. So another game that I was also a big fan of as a kid, you guys might not be too familiar with this game or might not remember it all that well. It was a game called Stuntman Ignition, and it's a game I do currently own for the Xbox 360. I think it was one of the games that I showed in a video that I did a few months ago, a couple of months ago, when I was actually showcasing all of the games that I own for the Xbox 360. I think that was one of the games I did actually show in that video, in that showcase I did. It's a game that I've always loved playing. Some of you guys are probably, don't have a very strong opinion of Stuntman Ignition, but some of you guys have probably never played it. But for me, definitely. I think it was like one of the very first few games I played on the Xbox 360, and I actually really enjoyed it, and I still enjoy playing it now. To be fair, also, I love the Need for Speed series. My favourite game in the Need for Speed series is Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, 100%. Another Xbox 360 game, and the game also got remastered for the newer generation of consoles, which you can't complain about. I mean, I don't really have a negative opinion on any of the Need for Speed games in general. I think most of the Need for Speed games are pretty good, for me, if they in their own way. But for me, my favourite is always hands down going to be, Simpson. It's always going to be Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. And I think and I don't. I mean, it's really unfair to say that Need for Speed Hot Pursuit is one of the best games in the Need for Speed series. Some of you guys might think it's not, but for me, I do. I think it is one of the best games in the series. I mean, it's certainly one of my favourites. You guys might not have been a big fan of it, but I really enjoyed playing Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. I love that game so much. So I obviously played a lot of the Call of Duty games. I probably got Call of Duty games on every console on the PS2, the Xbox 360, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 as well. For me, I don't have any real strong kind of opinions on that game as a whole. I mean, I don't have a problem with the game, like the gameplay in general. I think the game is very, very good. I think the games are very, very good. I mean, for me, my favourite is Call of Duty Black Ops, the original Black Ops game. I also love Black Ops 2. I tend to play a lot of the zombies mode on Black Ops 2 because I really enjoy that for some reason. I don't know why, I just love the zombies mode on Black Ops 2. Really, really fun, to be honest. Modern Warfare 3, the Xbox 360 Modern Warfare 3, another brilliant game, one that I loved, and one that I'm very, happy to have in my Xbox collection. Um, Same with Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 1. I'm so happy to have those games in my collection as well. I mean, obviously, I don't have I don't really have a like a massively negative opinion on any of the Call of Duty games. I think, it's hard to have a negative opinion on them because a lot of the games are so good. Um, but yeah, definitely my favourite is Call of Duty Black Ops 2, Black Ops 1, then Black Ops 2, then Modern Warfare 3. That's how it goes. They're my top three. So moving on to the wrestling games. So I've always been a big fan of the SmackDown versus Raw games. I really enjoy playing those games. Um, I also enjoy the SmackDown games on PS2, SmackDown Just Burn It, SmackDown Here Comes the Pain, and SmackDown Shut Your Mouth. Um, SmackDown 1 and 2 are also very, very good as well. I've got those original PlayStation games, and they're really fun to play. I mean, obviously, when like SmackDown Here Comes the Pain, just wow, like you can see why so many people love that game, still love that game even now. Um, I mean, it's not really hard to see why the SmackDown games on the PS2 are still very popular and are still, very well talked about in this day and age because they were very, very good games. I would even go as far as to say that the original SmackDown game, like some of the games, some of the, like the SmackDown games that we have on the PS2, and maybe even the SmackDown versus Raw games are definitely better than the WWE games we have out nowadays. I feel like there's no real comparison. So it's like the difference, and the gameplay, the difference in the gameplay is just like night and day. I mean, yeah, graphics, are very different these days. Obviously, the graphics of the WWE 2K games now are stunning, and look so good. That's one thing that you can't really complain about. You can't really say that the graphics are absolute garbage because for the most part they're pretty good. I think 2K have done a very good job with them. Done a very good job in that department. But for me, SmackDown versus the original SmackDown games and the SmackDown versus Raw games will always be, will always be my favourites. I don't have anything bad in negative anything really negative to say about WWE 2K14. But I feel like the less said about 2K15, the better. 2K16 and 17, there were improvements, but they, not massive improvements. I mean, they're better rosters for sure. 2K18, again, not a bad game, depending on what console you had it on. I mean, the Nintendo Switch version was absolutely horrific. Might not be so bad now, though, I don't know. I have heard that the WWE 2K18 game, it's not too bad on the newer Nintendo Switch 2, but I'd like to see that for myself. In terms of SmackDown, obviously WWE 2K19, again, a game that I actually really liked. It was one of my favorite 2K games. 2K20, it's a bit, WWE 2K20 is a bit like, WWE 2K15. In the less, in the less that's said about it, the better. You know, the less that's said about that game, the better, because it was absolutely terrible, an absolutely terrible game. And I mean, to me, it's not a bad game, but it was at launch when it first came out. We all know that 2K20 was an awful game, and there's no denying that or disputing that. Um, and I want to say the 2K was a great game because it really wasn't. It was awful. Um, and I'm surprised that 2K when it was released in the state that it was in. It was a pretty broken mess, and it shouldn't have been released in the state that it was in. Simple as that. Um, but moving on to the to the other, I played Sleeping Dogs. Really love that game. Sleeping Dogs. I played Train Sim World as well. I played all of the Train Sim World games today. I was very excited when I first got Train Sim World 2018, the original one for the PS4. I was really, because obviously it was like the first ever train game that we actually had on consoles. And it was really exciting to pick that up, and you know, obviously we get the yearly releases, every year. We do get a new Train Sim World game. Obviously it's become that the yearly releases have become that kind of tradition for Dovetail games. Obviously, we are at time of recording probably now only a couple of months away from the announcement of Train Sim World 6, which will probably inevitably be announced in August, around late August time ahead of its release in September. Because that's the month that the new Train Sim World games always tend to release. They always tend to release around mid September, and I don't see this year being any different. I do think we'll be getting Train Sim World 6 again around mid September time. So obviously we don't know the exact date, but that will obviously be announced in August. We'll probably get an idea of what routes we're gonna get for that game as well. We'll see what happens. For me, my favorite Train Sim World game in terms of the gameplay, the DLCs that we got. It's hard to pick because I think the DLCs we got for Train Sim World 2 were pretty decent. Some of the DLCs that we got for Train Sim World 3, I mean, some of them are okay, some of them are piss poor. Same with Train Sim World 4. I think the Thief Circle was a good example of a route that wasn't that great. The Midlands main, Train Sim World 3, the East Midlands mainline route. DLC wasn't brilliant when it first came out, and probably was released before it was even finished. I probably should. I was probably ready. It probably shouldn't have been released at the moment when it was. Um, but I mean, I think obviously, for me, I would always go probably maybe Train Sim World 2 or Train Sim World 3 as my personal favourites. It has to be said. Maybe Train Sim World 1 at number 2. Train Sim World 2 would be at number 1. Train Sim World 3 at number 3, of course. That's how it would go. So moving on, we have the GTA series. Now, I've played every single GTA game there is. I don't think there's a GTA game I haven't played. I think the only one I haven't played is GTA Chinatown Wars, and I don't think I intend or I don't remember what console that came out on. I think it was a game that only came out for the PSP or something like that, and I don't intend on wanting to pick that up and see what it was like. It's not a game that I would want to pick up. But all of the other GTA games, like the original PlayStation GTA games, have got the 3D games, San Andreas, GTA 3, Vice City San Andreas. I've got the HD era games, GTA 4 and 5. But mainly my personal favourite. Now, I played both GTA 4 and GTA 5. Um, Now, obviously, I was a teenager when it came out. GTA 5 came out in 2013. I was about 12 years old. And yeah, my mum was letting me play games, at that age when I was 12 years old. I didn't think my mum was going to let me play GTA 5 because it was obviously meant for 18-year-olds. But my mum never had a problem with me playing games that weren't meant for, for people my age. And I know a lot of people would be saying, well, that's bad parenting, but I mean, at least, I'm glad that she was never really, one of these parents that was really strict when it came to things like that. It's like she never had a problem with me, playing games that were meant for 18-year-olds when, I wasn't even old enough to be playing those games. Um, I mean, I think GTA 5 was the first, or GTA episodes from Liberty City was the first I played. It was obviously like DLCs for GTA 4. Um, for me, if I had to pick my favourite GTA game, I would say GTA 4. Now, the reason I say that is because I feel like, there were a lot of things like GTA. I mean, I'm not trying to diss any of the other GTA games or say that all of the other GTA games are garbage, because none of them were. I'm just saying that my personal favourite was GTA 4. I feel like I prefer, I mean, and some of you guys might think this is a bit crazy, but I do actually really prefer the driving physics that we had in the PS4, in the GTA 4. I also feel like vehicle damage was a lot more realistic in that game as well, like the vehicle damage. Yeah, I mean, obviously when you look at vehicle damage, I mean, in the GTA 5 Xbox 360 PS3 versions, the vehicle damage was pretty decent for the most part, but on the PS4 and Xbox One, it's not that realistic. It's not realistic as it probably could be. And I'm hoping that in GTA 6 we do see kind of more realistic kind of vehicle damage than what we did see in GTA 5. I mean, I think, if GTA 6 had gone with like the driving physics that we had in GTA 4, I wouldn't have complained about that. I mean, GTA 5 we could fly planes and all that, and that was obviously an added bonus, but for me, GTA 4 I think it's always going to be, the better game for me. I think, it's a game that's always going to be my personal favourite. No disrespect to GTA 5, I do think GTA 5 is a great game. I do love the fact that, we had the three main protagonists, in that game, but for me, I have to pick GTA 4, and I think if somebody was always going to offer me GTA 4 and then GTA 5, I'm always, no disrespect to GTA 5. I'm not saying it's a bad game, but I'm always on the pick GTA 4. I'm sorry, but I have to say it. I'm always on the pick GTA 4. If GTA 4 is my personal favourite. It has to be said. I love being able to go back and play GTA 4 because I feel like it's such a great game. And I hope that we do get, like a GTA 4 port at some point, like the new generation of consoles. I know there are reports suggesting that it could be coming out before the end of this year. We could be getting that before, we could be getting that before the end of this year. I would love that. I would love it if that's the case, but I don't know for sure. I mean, I kind of would be nice for Rockstar to release something else in the meantime whilst we're waiting for GTA 6. Give us something else to play whilst we're waiting for that game to come out. Give us something to kind of take our minds off the fact that GTA 6 isn't coming out now until May next year. If that's even the case, because I'm fully aware of the fact that GTA 6 could even be delayed again. And I hate to say it, but I kind of feel like a second delay for GTA 6 is probably inevitable. I feel like a second delay probably will end up happening. I didn't think the GTA 6 would be delayed. I wasn't 100% confident about the first game being delayed. Look what happened. It did get delayed. I did say, I didn't rule it out. I never ruled out the game being delayed. I never said it. I didn't think that was going to happen. I always knew that there was a possibility it would get delayed, and I know, I'm fully aware. I know that there is a possibility that GTA 6 could be very, very well be delayed again. I know that I know that there's a chance that I'm not, again, that's not something I'm going to rule out because it's, at the end of the day, I don't think it's something that you can really, that it's really possible to rule out at this point. I think at the moment, I think it's a little bit too early to be ruling anything like that out because at the end of the day, for all we know, it could be delayed again. Not that anyone would want that to happen, but this is Rockstar. That is Rockstar Games for you. It very well be delayed again. So who knows? But as I said, it would be nice to have something else in the meantime. So maybe a GTA 4 port would be good. Simply, it's one of it's my favorite GTA game. So also I'd love to see a port a port for GTA 4, available for the newer generations of consoles. We'll see what happens anyway. In terms of the other Rockstar games I played, Bully, I've loved Bully. I really enjoyed playing that game. I'd love to see a sequel to Bully. I know that there was talks of a Bully 2 at one point. Is that something that Rockstar have like completely ruled out and have said it's never going to happen? I mean, and do I think there's a chance that maybe Rockstar could go back to that in the future? I think there is. I don't know how big a chance it is, but I think there is maybe a slight chance that Rockstar could go back and decide in future years that they want to do a Bully 2. I think they know that people loved Bully and obviously wouldn't really complain about them doing a sequel to that game. I, for one, wouldn't complain about that. I'd love to see them do, a sequel to Bully. I think, it would be great. I think that would be great. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, if it happens, then great. If it happens, if that if a if a Bully sequel happens, then that's great. If it doesn't, then fair enough. You know, we'll see. It's all about waiting. Let's just wait and see. I mean, I imagine that the next game after GTA 5 or GTA 6 will probably be Red Dead Redemption 3. I imagine. I can't see that it wouldn't be. I mean, obviously, with moving on to the Red Dead series now. I mean, Red Dead Redemption for me definitely my favorite. I mean, well, no, Red Dead Redemption 2 is my favourite. I mean, I think for me it was hard to kind of pick between Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2 because they were both such great games. There's nothing bad about either game, which is why it was so hard for me to pick which one was my favourite. But if I had to pick one, I would say Red Dead Redemption 2. And again, no disrespect to Red Dead Redemption. I'm not saying that Red Dead Redemption was a garbage game, but I'm just saying that Red Dead Redemption 2 was my personal favourite. Simply, simple as that. Um, Maybe you guys might not agree with my opinions on that one, but yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2 is my personal favourite. Is it the better of the two games? Probably not. Maybe Red Dead Redemption 2 is the better of the two games, but for me, Red Dead Redemption 2 is just my personal favourite. So in terms of the Gran Turismo games, only really one game I played, and that's Gran Turismo 7. I played all of the NBA games, don't really have any complaints about those. I played all of the UFC games, really love those games. UFC 4 probably being my personal favourite. I don't know why, but it is just my personal favourite of the five the five that released. Bus Sim, I would probably say the Bus Simulator 21. Um, was my favourite game out of those two because we did get more buses in that game and we also got more DLCs. So yeah, not bad. We got more updates and things like that. So yeah, I'll blame on that one. Um, in terms of Assassin's Creed now, this is again one of my favourite video game series. I love Assassin's Creed. I think if I had to pick my favourite, I would go Assassin's Creed Syndicate. I love the Unity, I love Black Flag, I love Assassin's Creed Revelations. I love Assassin's Creed Rogue. I think that they were very good games. I think the games that we've had on the newer generations of consoles have been very good, very good as well. But if I had to pick my personal favourite out of that series, Assassin's Creed Syndicate, again, I feel like it's because that game was set in London, and obviously London is obviously the city I was born and raised in. So of course I'm always going to say GTA. Of course I'm always going to say that Assassin's Creed Syndicate was my favorite game because I mean I'm not saying that any of the Assassin's Creed games were bad. I'm just saying that that one was my personal favorite. Because of the set, it was set in London. I feel like there might be a little bit of bias, a little bit of bias there because of it being set in London. But I have to say it. In terms of Saints Row, I played a few of the Saints Row games. I mean, I never did get the hand of Saints Row 2. I remember playing that game a bit, getting fucked up with it. I played a few of the Killzone games. I played Killzone Shadowfall. In fact, I did actually pick that game up in CEX the other day for only £2.50. I played both the Minecraft. Not played the Minecraft story mode game yet. I want to start that. Probably gonna start that game tomorrow. But Minecraft again, love Minecraft. I feel like I've got back into to playing Minecraft again since I went to watch the movie a couple of months ago. I feel like that's really kind of made me kind of fall in love with Minecraft again and get back into that. When I was in school, like so many of the boys were into Minecraft. So many, that was something that the kids were always playing at like break time on the computer. They were always playing Minecraft, and I never understood why they loved that game so much. I never really understood why people were so fascinated by Minecraft. It was not something that I really got into. I found it hard to get into that game because I think I found it quite boring, in the past. And it was like, I never thought I would end up playing Minecraft again, but I feel like I've really developed a love for Minecraft more since I've watched the movie. I think that's what's cool. That's helped me to, to kind of, you know, develop that interest in Minecraft and develop that love for the game, and it's kind of, it's kind of gotten me to sort of, invest some time into Minecraft, makes, I mean, I think investing some time into that game is pretty good, is a pretty good idea, has to be said. It's not a game that I thought I would ever think, oh, I could sit down and play for hours, but, I mean, I played a lot of the horror games as well, so I played like Five Nights at Freddy's, I played both the Emily Wants to Play games, they were quite interesting. I've played, there's a lot of games I played, a lot of horror games I played, but definitely be fans of the Five Nights at Freddy's series. I'll go on that. In terms of the other games that I played the Little Britain video game. No, I don't know why they ever released that. Like that was the worst game I've ever played on the PS2. Like what? I mean that game is just awful. It's horrendous. It's so bad. And when people did their reviews saying that game's adult rap, they weren't wrong. Because that game is actually an adult rap, and I actually wonder, I'm actually questioning why the flipping it I even actually ordered it. It's just one of the worst games I've ever played. It's not a game I ever had that desire to pick up. I played the Hat in the Hat game on the PS2 as well. I played like the original FIFAs as well. I own everything. I think it's crazy that to say that I own every FIFA from FIFA Soccer '96 all the way up to EAFC 25, which is the current game. I also own like the World Cup games as well, and the Euro games that came out: Euro 2008, Euro 2004, Euro 2000. Not yeah, Euro 2000. Euro 2000, and obviously, Euro 2012 wasn't the only one I never played, like the only DLC I never played. I played all the World Cup games. I've still got them all as well. For me, obviously, I feel like the old FIFA games were are way better than the old, than the newer, EAFC games. I mean, I much prefer games like FIFA 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I like those games more than the newer games that we have out now. I think if someone actually tried to say that EAFC 25 was actually better than games like FIFA 13 and FIFA 14, I would piss myself laughing because I would think, I would wonder what crap that person was smoking. Because if people actually think that, if people actually think that, that the current like the AFC games we have right now are better than games like FIFA 13 and 14, people that really are smoking crap. Because there's no comparing those games. Those games that we had on the Xbox 360, like 13, 14, and whatever, are so much better than the games than the AFC games by a flipping country mile. by a large country mile, if that. Same with like the Pro Evolution Soccer game, like the older Pro Evolution Soccer games again, but it feels so much more enjoyable. I even own the ISS Pro games as well, and I played those and I enjoyed them. Um, I mean, obviously I played the Jack and Daxter games, I played the Tony Hawk games. Um, I mean, when I think obviously I've got Ratchet and Clank as well, I played those, I played Crash Bandicoots. Um, so, to be honest, I'm quite proud of the collection of games that I have, and it's amazing to think about all of the games I've played, and the memories I have from playing those video games, and how much I've enjoyed them. And it's been fun doing this video talking about my favorite games and games that I've enjoyed, games I didn't enjoy. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you for another one. This is probably the longest video I've done for about for a few weeks now. I can't remember the last time I did a video that was this long, but I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll see you for another video tomorrow. Have an awesome day. I mean, but I'll go back to the hold on before I finish. But go back to the wrestling games. There is one wrestling game I didn't enjoy. Legends of WrestleMania. I know, but that game was boring. It's not the best game I've ever played. I mean, yeah, it's fun to play with like legendary wrestlers. I mean, I often wonder why Macho Man Randy Savage wasn't in that game. That's the only thing I find myself questioning. I like how he brought SmackDown versus Raw 09 roster into that game as well. It's kind of fun. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. What I would talk about. I've played the Far Cry games as well. I played Far Cry 6. I played all of the Uncharted games. Loved all of those. Really, really beautiful. Really, really good games. The gameplay in those games is exquisite. I don't think there are any other games I've missed out. Um, I played the ride games, like the motorbike games. I played all of most of the F1 games as well. Um, so yeah, I mean, I played quite a lot of games. I played obviously on the Nintendo Wii. Uh, Funnily enough, in the past, I had been thinking about getting a Nintendo Wii, but then I changed my mind. I mean, I did used to love playing Wii Sports for some reason. That's the game I've really had a desire to want to play recently. It's Wii Sports. I don't know why, but the only games I never got into was the Just Dance series. I mean, obviously that's not my sort of thing. I don't really play like Elder Scrolls or Skyrim or anything like that. I don't really play God of War. I don't really, again, those are not really games I got into. I did play Dishonored 2, never really got into that. There's a few other games that I played, um, that I've never really gotten into. I played, both the Bendy games as well. Um, so yeah, played a hell of a lot of big games. Um, and it's crazy to think about, Um, but yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I've enjoyed doing this video, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I'll see you for another video soon. I'll see you for another one soon. Bye bye.